In this video, you'll learn how to write a simple JavaScript program for the Monroe Public Library website. The staff directory page on the Monroe Public Library website displays the names and phone numbers of library staff members. The email column should include a link to each employee's email address. However, including the email addresses is an invitation to spam, junk email messages that advertise products and services not requested by the recipient. A spammer is someone who sends these unsolicited messages, sometimes in bulk emailings involving tens of thousands of recipients. Aside from the annoyance of receiving unsolicited email, spam costs companies thousands and sometimes millions of dollars a year, because it consumes valuable resources on servers forced to process these unwanted messages. One way that spammers collect email addresses is through an email harvester, which is a program that scans documents, usually web pages, looking for email addresses. The harvester adds the email addresses it finds to a database, which a spammer uses to send spam. To reduce the amount of spam sent to the staff of the Monroe Public Library, you could scramble the email addresses so they don't appear in the web page code. When a browser loads and displays the page for a user, the email addresses could be unscrambled so users can read them. However, HTML, XHTML, and browsers do not have features for scrambling and unscrambling email addresses or other text. How can you solve the spam problem for the Monroe Public Library? You can write a JavaScript program. JavaScript is a client-side programming language used on the web. Programming on the web comes in two types: server-side programming and client-side programming. In server-side programming, a program is stored on the server that hosts a website. The program modifies the contents and structure of web pages. In some cases, users interact with the program to request information. For example, if you visit a retail website and add a product to your shopping cart, you are using a server-side program. An advantage of server-side programming is that a program running on a server can be connected to a database of information that users cannot otherwise access. Users can then perform tasks not available on their own computers, such as banking online and purchasing items with a credit card. A disadvantage of server-side programming is that system administrators sometimes limit server-side programs to conserve resources and avoid overloading the system. If the system is overloaded, users have to sit through delays as the server-side program handles many requests for information. Client-side programming solves this problem by running programs on the user's computer rather than the server. Users do not have to wait for data to be sent over the internet to a web server or for an overloaded server to handle requests. They retrieve a web page from the server, and a program on their computer runs as they interact with the page in a browser. In many cases, websites use a combination of server-side and client-side programming. For example, when you fill out a web form, a client-side program might check to make sure you entered all the required information, and a server-side program might process the form and send its information to a database. JavaScript is a popular client-side programming language because you need only a text editor and a web browser to use JavaScript. You use the text editor to write the JavaScript commands, and the web browser to run the commands and display the results. This means you can insert JavaScript code directly into an HTML document, or place it in a separate text file that is linked to a web page. In the HTML document for the Monroe Public Library staff directory page, you can include JavaScript code to insert the text of each email address in the staff directory table. To do so, you use the script element, which uses the form shown here for JavaScript programs. To insert the email address for Catherine Adler, the first staff member listed, find the empty table cell for the Catherine Adler entry, and then enter a script element containing the JavaScript command shown here. The document.write command tells browsers to send the text string cadler@mpl.gov to the web page document. When you save your changes and display the page in a browser, the email address for Catherine Adler appears in the email column. A typical error when writing JavaScript commands in an HTML document is to insert a line break in the command, especially if the quoted text string is long. HTML allows this type of line break, but JavaScript does not allow line breaks within the name of a command or within a quoted text string. If you save this document and display it in a browser, the email address does not appear on the page because of the line break error in the JavaScript command. Another typical error occurs because JavaScript is case sensitive. So if you enter the document.write command using an uppercase D instead of a lowercase d, no text appears in the email column because the browser does not recognize document with an uppercase D as part of a legitimate JavaScript command. If you write JavaScript statements for a web page that don't produce the results you intended, check the code for syntax errors involving line breaks and case sensitivity. To check your code, visit websites such as the W3C and Mozilla.org, which provide references to JavaScript syntax. In this case, when you correct the syntax error and redisplay the page in a browser, the JavaScript commands are executed correctly and display the email address as you intended. Now you know the difference between server-side and client-side programming and how to include a JavaScript program in a web page document. In this video,